Dan, there's fish all around us, everywhere we look.
They're everywhere.
You know?
Yeah.
Hi, I'm with a good friend of mine. It's a good friend of my son's. His name's Dan Gravel, and we're up in Owen Sound. Dan's from Owen Sound, I'm from Owen Sound, and we're fishing my lake, but we're not after big fish. We're after small bass. Hey, we're just
nice fish.
Nice fish. We're trying to see how my lake is changing. We put a bunch of broodstock in here a little while ago, and we're seeing that the wild ones are taking hold,
out.
and it's working.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put him back. What do you think?
Good job.
Let's go fishing, buddy.
All right.
I'm going fishing all of the time, and my baby's going fishing too. Bet your life that your sweet wife can catch more fish than you. Any fish will bite if you got the right bait. Now here's a little something that I'd like to relate. With my pole and my line, I'm going fishing. Yes, I'm going fishing. My baby's going fishing too.
Going Fishing with Darryl Choronzey is brought to you in part by Yamaha, reliability with every turn of the key. Abu Garcia, for life. Berkeley, catch more fish. G3 Boats, a Yamaha boat company. And by Darryl Choronzey's Canadian Fisherman's Breading and Batter Mix. Closed captioning for Going Fishing is brought to you by Rapala, the makers of Canada's favorite fillet knives. You've probably heard Choronzey use the word paradise more than a few times. To be honest, though, he has his own special little piece of paradise located just on the outskirts of Owen Sound, Ontario. It's a 200-acre plot of wilderness with a nifty little 30-acre cold water lake tucked right in the middle of it. For the past decade, Choronzey has been tinkering with the pond, as he calls it. There have been a lot of changes from the first day he set eyes on it. In fact, it's become a natural fish factory with a little bit of help from our host. Stay with us as Darryl and his friend Dan Gravel do a little bit of fishing and experimenting on a lake called Little Big Cedar.
Oh. No, it's just a small one. Come on. Ah. Maybe it hooks up better than I thought. Here, I'm gonna pull him over you.
That's one. I got one too, Dan.
Oh,
I got a smallie.
you got the good one. You got the good one.
I'll tell you what, nice fish, eh? I'm going down off this one. This is a good sized fish, Dan. Hey?
That is a good fish. This one, not so much.
Nice fish, eh, Dan?
Yeah, I got his next breakfast here.
Now, okay, let's compare these two. You got a largemouth there? Bring
Yep.
that down here.
Yeah.
Okay, this smallmouth
Yeah.
was put in the lake, okay?
Okay.
I caught these fish. I had a permit from the Ministry of Natural Resources, right? I caught the smallmouth. This smallmouth was stocked 6 years ago.
Right.
I caught this guy's, or you caught this guy's grandfather, or maybe
Oh,
grandmother, or
likely.
mother or father.
Likely.
That's a wild fish for this lake.
Definitely.
Okay?
Definitely.
But this is a stalker.
And it's working out.
Hey, nice fish. The little guy and the big guy. Now, what we've got in here are two different types of bass. We got smallmouth bass, we got largemouth bass. Any bass that we see, bigger than 3 or 4 pounds, bigger than 4 pounds,
Yeah.
is gonna be one of our stalkers.
That's right.
All right?
Yeah.
Anything under that 3 pounds and under,
Right.
that's gonna be our wild fish. And what we're doing today is we're trying to get a handle on how our wild bass, which I mean the fish that are born in this lake, how they're doing. And we're starting to see them, eh?
And there's lots of them in here.
Well, we've got a lot of big bass. You know, the big bass are here still. They'll be here for another 2 or 3 years. But what I wanted to see is how our wild bass or our natural bass from this lake we're doing. Let's get back over by those pads. What do you say?
Sounds good to me. This is a good
What do you
fish.
got, Mr. Gravel?
I don't know. Oh, look at this.
You know what you got?
Another big small.
Another big smallmouth.
Yeah.
Hey, you rigged that as a wacky worm, actually. Eh?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's the new Gulp Alive
The nightcrawler.
nightcrawler. Look at it.
This is a good fish.
We were just saying, these fish smarten up real quick. You'll get 3 or 4 of them on a bait, and they're intelligent enough to
They pick
turn
up-
away from them.
Yeah.
You got to throw something else at them. Nice fish, eh, Dan?
That's
Hey, you
real
just-
good
You just
fish.
lost your alive worm.
Oh, that's okay. I know you got lots. You got lots.
But again, these are the fish that we put in this lake. Oh, the last time we stocked smallmouth in here was 6 years ago. So these are our stalkers that we brought in, right?
Yep.
And they're nice looking fish, eh?
They are. They're all nice. Yeah.
Nice fish, Dan. What we did find here, though, this lake again is marl, and the smallmouth have a hard time reproducing in it. So I've kind of got away from the smallmouth. The smallmouth that were put in here as stockers are going to stay in here as stockers, but we're not seeing a lot of reproduction on smallmouth, but we're seeing a ton of reproduction on these largemouth.
Yeah, you're right. There isn't a lot of smallmouth, but they're big.
Yeah,
big.
You know, these stockers, some of our smallmouth in here right now, and this is no fish story, our smallmouth will go to 6 pounds, maybe 6.5, 7 pounds, and we do have a couple largemouth bass in here, and I would imagine they're still here. I don't think they've died of old age yet, but we've got a couple largemouth bass in here that are 10 pounds.
Yeah, and there are actually, we tagged some before. We put about half a dozen tags on fish.
The interesting part is, Dan, that these fish really get smart quick to a bait. Like I'll come down here and feed my trout in the morning.
Yeah.
And they'll feed all day long on the trout food, right? And you can throw a MEP spinner in here and you'll just bang, bang, bang with a MEP spinner. But after that third bang or after that third fish, they won't touch a MEP spinner.
Yeah.
Like, what'd you call this Berkeley bait I'm using right now?
That's a
I got one here.
swim bait. And
Okay,
that's
look at
a
this.
fish. Nice.
Look at this. Look
nice
at this.
fish.
Now, I got a largemouth
There.
here.
First one of the day.
Now, this is, I don't know whether this would be one of our stockers. No. See, Dan, this will be one of our natural big fish here, okay? Or I'm saying natural, one of our native fish.
Yeah.
That is going to be the first year spawners that we had.
That's about the size. That's the smallest that we put in.
Yeah, but you put those fish in, we haven't stocked for 3 years.
That's right.
Okay?
Yep.
Nice looking bass.
Oh, real nice.
Danny looking bass. What's the name of that crazy lure again?
Power bait, swim bait.
Yeah?
That's right.
It's a swim bait, a soft swim bait.
Hollow belly.
Hollow belly.
That's right.
You know what? Berkeley's got about 10,000 different baits. It's hard to keep track of them.
Well, they're always coming out with new ones.
Nice looking fish.
Real nice.
Now, Dan, you just can't stock bass in a lake unless you've got the bait, right?
That's right.
And when I originally purchased this property, again, all I had was perch. So I started checking the internet for what I'm going to stock and what I'm not going to stock as far as 4-H.
Yeah.
And I saw somebody on the internet put on there that crappie will outcompete bluegills. So I put bluegills and crappie in figuring. I wanted more crappie than bluegills. That guy was crazy.
That's not the case.
Bluegills can outcompete crappie like there's no tomorrow. We've got 1 million bluegill in here right now. I brought some up from Lake Erie. I probably brought a couple hundred in. I'll bet you I've got thousands of bluegill in here right now. All
They're
over.
schooling below the boat there, yeah.
You know, bluegill spawn 3 or 4 times a year. Crappie only spawn once. So bluegill can really overpopulate a lake almost in no time. So you've got to watch what you're putting in for 4-H. Look at the bass here.
Watch this. Watch.
Look at the bass. You got to have the proper 4-H to get the proper big fish, and I think we've got him here.
Like this one. Like this one.
Dan's got this worm rigged. Well, the worm was on there, but he had it rigged in a wacky worm style, right?
Yep.
And we had 4 or 5 bass trying to grab at that worm.
Well, see the other one that spit out?
Yeah, I see the one spit one out, and it can't get enough of the power. Right? Nice fishing, Dan.
I don't think he's done yet.
That's that alive, eh?
Yeah, it is. Yep.
They just came out with that style of alive, right? And they come out, oh, Dan, you know what?
one?
Oh, I lost it. But anyways, they just came out with that style of alive
Yeah.
and those containers, right?
Yeah.
Nice fish.
Another nice one. Yeah.
Now, again, that's one of our stockers. Dan, I want you to get your little guy. What's his name?
Gavin.
I want you to get Gavin down here. I want you to spend a week with him, nonstop bluegill fishing, to get rid of some of these bluegill on this lake.
He'll be a professional bluegill fisherman by the time he's done.
Good fish for kids.
Oh yeah, it's great.
And now for the Darryl Choronzey's Canadian Fisherman's Breading and Batter Mix Campfire Comment.
I have to say this, Dan mentioned something to me today. There were a few bass guys that got upset because I cooked bass, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's someone's always going to complain.
Have you ever eaten bass?
I have.
Goody?
You know, it's great. It's great.
They remember the sunfish family.
Yeah, and I love panfish. I love panfish more than I like trout.
Now, I've got to say this. I was with my son Joshua last week up at White River, and he said there's some kooky guy around Thunder Bay, right? And he was on his website. I guess he's got a posting thing, and he's, oh, yeah, Choronzey ripped the head off the bass and eat it. Listen, Choronzey has never ripped the head off a bass. He's eaten some bass, and this is all I'm going to say. And we do have some prima donnas out there that saying, oh my God, the bass is the holy fish. Or the muskie guys. The muskie is the holy fish. Listen, I eat a lot of fish. As far as ripping the head off a bass or eating a bass, I don't think I've eaten a bass in 4 years. Down in Lake Erie, we used to eat a lot of smallmouth bass. I said I ate some muskie. There's nothing wrong with eating a muskie. One of the best fish you've ever eaten
That's right.
is a muskie. Now, here are a couple of really important things to remember. I can raise a bass in a sewer, and you really can. That doesn't mean I'm going to eat the bass, because it's going to taste like, you know. When you eat bass, you worry about the bass's environment, meaning clean water.
Exactly, yeah.
Same thing with muskie. Now, if you catch a bass and it's bleeding bad, it's not going to live. You eat the bass.
Yeah.
If you catch a muskie and it's bleeding, you eat the muskie.
Yeah, yeah. It's within the regulations. Do what you do, okay? You're not breaking any laws, but there's simple things that you remember. Everyone's got to be a sportsman, a conservationist. We know that eat the small fish, let the big ones go. We need those genes back into that pool. We need those to stay around, to keep those big fish around.
All I'm telling you is in Switzerland and in Germany, there's no more catch and release. You be either catching fish to eat or you don't go fishing. And it's going to happen here in Canada. So you bass guys out there and you muskie guys out there, God bless you. Release all you want, but eat a few. Because one day the catch and release people could come right after you. Dan, thank you.
Thank you.
Going Fishing returns with more action from Little Big Cedar Lake.
Mr. Gravel, where's your rod, Dan?
I got mine right here.
Let's just show them what we're doing here.
Okay.
Okay, you're the tackle expert.
Okay.
Berkeley Power Bait. What's it called?
This is a hollow belly swim bait. It's a new product from Berkeley. And this is actually the first time I've used it.
Well, it's a power bait, right?
That's right.
Okay, so it's a hollow belly. It gives a little bit of wiggle, right?
That's right.
And all we're doing is a slow retrieve, giving it the odd twitch, right?
Yeah.
It's falling down with that tail. It's got a lot of action.
A wounded fish, yeah.
Okay, you've got my Berkeley Alive, right?
This right here,
Yeah.
Berkeley's come out with this Berkeley Gulp Alive.
Okay, and you got the night crawler.
That's right.
And it recharges, because you can take that worm you've got there and you can put it right back. But this is a night crawler, 6-inch night crawler, right? New container. But again, you can take that bait, you can fish that bait, you know, and you can throw that worm back, in, and it recharges it.
Yeah.
Now get your worm out of my Berkeley Alive. Okay. Now, you rig that wacky worm.
That's right. What that consists of is it's basically the egg sac on the worm.
Yeah.
So basically the center. And you just hook it just like that through the middle.
Yeah.
And the action it gets is this quivering motion.
Natural quivering motion.
It drives fish nuts.
Okay. Now listen, I don't want any more rainbow. I really don't want any more smallmouth bass. And quit playing with my fish.
Sorry.
Are you listening to me?
Yeah.
I don't want any more rainbow. I don't want any more smallmouth bass. I want to check out my largemouth bass babies, okay?
Okay, let's do that.
Put your wacky worm away. There's one, Dan. You know that? Now, Dan, this is what I came up for. I wanted to see how many of these we've got in this lake. Dan, I wanted to just see the health of these fish, right? Healthy looking little scrappers, eh?
They are.
Aren't they nice?
They're very healthy.
Now, I want to say something, Dan. And he's off. I did a little experimenting here.
Yeah.
Right? Before you catch another fish, will you listen to me?
All right.
I did a little experimenting here. And a couple of years ago, I took a couple bass that big in September, natural bass, right?
Okay.
Put them in an aquarium in my house.
Okay.
Right? And I started feeding these. I put 4 rocks there, and these bass actually went to the 4 rocks, right? My wife says, what are you doing? I come back with a little bag of minnows, like goldfish minnows from the pet shop.
Yeah.
I says, don't worry about it. Now, this is in September, October. I says, don't worry about it. It's only going to cost me $1 a week, right? Bass was like that in October, right? November, the bass was like that. Christmas, the bass is like that, right? I had them that big, 5 times or 6 times their length by March. Now, those fish were costing me $1 a week to start. At the end, they were costing me, honest to God, almost $20 a week to feed these 2 bass.
And how many did you have?
I had 2 bass in there. They were eating 20 goldfish or 30 goldfish a week like this.
Wow.
Right? They had guts on them bigger than mine. Well, not quite as big as mine. But I learned a lot. I learned that if the water conditions are right, and I had 70-degree water in the house, right?
Yeah.
And if they had their rocks to hide behind, and as fast as I emptied those minnows in, poof, the minnows were, or the goldfish were gone.
It gives you a good perspective.
Oh, I could just sit and watch those guys, but I finally had to kick them out of the house. They were costing me too much. So I'm like my kids.
No kidding. There's a fish.
You got one, Dan?
Yep. Now, I got to show you something here, Darryl.
What are you going to show me, Mr. Gravel?
This right here. Look at the size of this worm.
Yeah.
I don't-
Almost the size of the fish.
Yeah.
And again, Dan, this is what we came out for. These are our own fish. They were born in this lake, right?
Yeah.
That fish is probably 3 years old.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, here I am fishing this big worm, trying to get a big fish, and I can't get it past these ones.
But these are the guys I want to see right now. That's the future of this lake, you know?
Yeah.
You know, it's so easy, honest to God, to take a lake and transform it into a fishing paradise. And I'm using the word paradise, but it's true. We had nothing in this lake originally except stunted 3.5, 4-inch perch. Remember the old days, right? We brought the adult bass in. The bass are reproducing. The smallmouth aren't reproducing, but the largemouth are, and that's one of our bass.
And they're all healthy.
They're beautiful.
There we go.
Oh, we missed it. The head up. Get the head up here.
There's a good fish. Oh, right into the weeds.
Nice fish, Dan.
Nice fish. Now, here's something.
Yeah?
Here's something. Look at this. Look at this.
There are 2 hooks in there.
This is the one I lost
Just the one you had.
moments ago. This is that gulp.
Okay, can I see him for one?
Sure you can. Here,
Just want to have
here
a
you
look.
go.
Now, Dan, is that nice or is that nice?
That's a good fish.
Eh?
That's the one.
Again, we brought these fish in here 3, 4, 5 years ago,
Yeah.
right? And we're after the small ones, but there's an adult. That's a small adult in here, you know? He liked that Berkeley Alive Nightcrawler, eh?
He ate it twice.
I'm gonna let him go, Dan.
All right.
Right for the weeds, Dan. Look at Dan.
Yep.
Now, as long as I can catch a ton of these little guys, right? And again, we're doing a search and discover mission today just to see how these fish are reproducing.
What do you got there?
Little largemouth, eh?
Oh yeah.
You know?
And see, that's a much different year class.
You know, that's last year's, Dan.
Yeah.
Nice looking fish.
It is a good fish.
You know, and all we're doing is, and I asked Dan to come out today, and I said, get back in there, little fella. All I wanted Dan here was to help me have a little look and see how our little fish are doing. We know the big fish are. You know, we've got the stumps out here, and we've got the pads, and we've got the weeds, but I wanted to see what the small fish are doing. Now, want to tell you one thing about this lake. This lake has got a massive floodplain in it. It doesn't freeze at the far end. And right now, we're at low levels, low summer levels. But when the snow melts in the spring, this lake actually goes back into my bush. I've got 200 acres here, but it actually goes back in 30 acres back there. It floods, and it's actually 5.5 to 6 feet deep. We can get back in those bushes with a canoe. And my one concern was the bass are going to get back in there in the spring, want to spawn.
Yeah.
And they're going to get caught back in there. So what I've done is I put 2 ponds. I've dug 2 ponds out back there, right? So when the water goes down, if the fish can't get to the main lake, they can go back to the ponds.
Somewhere to go.
A lot of heavy equipment and a lot of money to keep these bass happy.
And now for the Berkeley tip of the week. No doubt about it. The ever-dependable Berkeley Power Worms or new improved Berkeley Gulp Worms are the baits to tease just about any bass into striking.
Mr. Gravel, hot day on the old lake, eh?
Really hot day.
Really, really hot.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm going to say right off the beginning, no tow trucks, no telephone poles, no cable, right?
No.
We ran some fire line today. I had 12-pound tests, and you had some trilene. What'd you have?
12. I think it was 12-pound test trilene.
Okay.
Yeah.
I ran a little Revo, right?
Yeah.
Dandy little reel. But again, the rods are all medium light to light action almost.
Yeah.
You know. Now, Dan, here's the funny part. Usually we do the tackle talk. We've got the tackle, right? Let's be honest. We went out with something today called Gulp Alive.
Yeah.
Right? And they were about 6-inch worms, and they were night crawlers, right?
Yeah.
And it says 6-inch night crawler. What I've got in there is some of the alive minnows. I think there's 50 of these night crawlers, and I'm not sure, but I think there's 50 night crawlers in one of the new containers, right?
Yeah.
And we only had the one container with us, and we went through a container today. That's how fast these, the small bass and the big bass.
Every cast you're getting fish on.
You know, so what I've done is, and you can reuse the juice, you know, the alive juice.
Yep, recharge it.
So, recharge is the word.
That's right.
What I've done is put the 3-inch minnows in there now,
Yep.
because I'm heading to Kenora this afternoon, and this juice is lucky juice.
That's the lucky
you know?
juice. That's it.
Okay, what is that called, Dan?
That's the Berkeley Power Bait Hollow Belly Swim Bait.
Okay, and you said it's a West Coast.
Swim baits originated from the West Coast.
Okay.
And they've since moved towards the East Coast. It's a really hot tactic for big bass.
You know, and after a while, a fish sees a bait, he's going to turn off a little bit.
Yeah.
You put the swim bait on there.
That's right.
And you started knocking the crap out of those
Yeah.
fish. Yeah. Let's see the length of this big power worm we've got on here.
This is it. This is my tried and true favorite bait.
Big bait.
It's 10-inch ribbon tail power bait
Yeah.
worm. It's a big fish producer.
Now, Dan, we were catching fish like this with it.
Yeah.
But we were catching, you know, largemouth and smallmouth like this with it.
Yeah.
One other thing I got to ask you. Dan come down today, and you've never seen a boat this big on the lake. You know, and he says,
Not your lake, no.
What's with this? Because I usually run my little G3 John boat.
Yeah.
I'm sitting in a G3, right? 21 feet long.
Yeah.
Right? And it's a bass boat, it's a walleye boat, it's a salmon boat. It's kind of neat. Now, I've got my step-on plates. They're made by Tax Track. And this is what's really funny. You can convert your boat over from a bass walleye boat to a salmon boat in no time. The step pads, right?
Yeah.
Actually slide out, right? And you can slide it down right in where the step pads are.
That's perfect.
Well, listen, buddy, are we going fishing?
You bet.
Let's go fishing then.
All right.
Going Fishing returns with the Napoleon Barbecue's Shore Lunch.
So what's this we have here, Darryl?
It's something special for you, buddy. It's called Indian candy. Now, before we go any farther, I want to say one thing. It's about 95 degrees out. We're out on this water for, well, 3 hours.
Yeah, if that.
And it's hot. I mean, but it is hot. So Dan said, let's go and have something to eat. And I said, I've got something special for you. It's called Indian candy. Now, you can use it with rainbow trout. You can use it with lake trout. You can use it with Chinook. You can use it with coho. You start it with a nice big fillet, right? Then you've got a sharp knife.
Okay.
And then you have commercial salt or pickling salt, right? And you have brown sugar. And you take your fillet, okay, with the sharp Rapala knife, and you cut it in strips, say 4 or 5 inches long, 1 inch thick, 1 inch wide. So you've got cut strips of your fillet, right?
Yeah.
You take your salt and your sugar. Now, here's what's really neat. You don't use any water, okay? You use a dry mixture, okay? So you cut these fillets up, you mix your sugar and your salt together, and then you roll your fillets in the sugar and the salt.
Okay.
And then you cover the strips, you know, the candy strips with the sugar and the salt. And you let them sit for anywhere from 5 to 12 to 14 hours, depending on taste, right?
Okay.
You bring them out, you rinse them off, okay? Then you take them out and you air dry them. I leave them on my smoker racks.
Okay.
You want them to get a little tacky, okay? Then after they're tacky, you take them and you put them in your smoker. And in this case, it's my Bradley smoker, right? And you can smoke these things at about 120 to 140 degrees Fahrenheit, like none of this metric stuff, okay?
Yeah.
120 to 140 degrees Fahrenheit. And you leave it in the smoker for anywhere from 5 to 12 hours. If you wanted more texture, well, then you leave it in for the 12 hours.
Okay.
Try a little bite. Just try a little bite. Eh? Is that not, you know, that's food from the gods.
Candy.
It's great Indian candy. We're going back out fishing.
Hope we got more of this.
I'll give you some.
For more information on today's fishing location and other going fishing destinations, visit goingfishingtv.com. Going Fishing with Darryl Choronzey has been brought to you in part by Yamaha, reliability with every turn of the key. Abu Garcia, for life. Berkeley, catch more fish. G3 Boats, a Yamaha boat company. And by Darryl Choronzey's Canadian Fisherman's Breading and Batter Mix.
Going fishing.
Going Fishing would like to thank the following fine sponsors.
Baby smiling.